It's quite important now, it seems, to be an influencer, somebody whose impact is felt, but it seems that that impact needs to be immediate. How can you be an influencer if people don't know that you have influenced them? It's difficult over the years, centuries later, when we commemorate people like St. John Wall, to understand what they have done for us, how they have influenced us. How do we measure somebody's life, what they've done, all the intricacies of their life, their influence? John Wall was sent to the English college in Dowie to train for the priesthood, although he was a young man then. That was the early part of his career. There's also information that he went to the English college in Rome too to finish his studies as a priest. One part of being an influencer, I suppose, is people knowing who you are. And yet, when John Wall went to the English college, he was known as John Marsh, just to protect him from those who would persecute him. A name, then, St. John Wall, that is pushed to the background. He returned to Dowie to receive the Franciscan habit, and so, as a Franciscan, he was novice master for 5 years in France, and yet he returned to England again under the name of Francis Webb, took another name to minister in Worcestershire, and there he ministered for 22 years. The ministry of St. John Wall took place in the 17th century. He was born in 1620. And that reminds us how even 2 centuries after the Reformation engulfed England, how being a Catholic priest was very suspect, if not dangerous. And yet, John Wall, John Marsh, Francis Webb, however he was known, ministered as a priest to the people of Worcestershire for 22 years. The problem came with the figure of Titus Oates, who you may know was a fantasist and somebody who seemed to like getting along by creating his own narrative of what was going on. He created the idea that there was a Roman Catholic plot against Charles II, and poor John Wall, for 22 years, ministering in secret to the people of Worcestershire, came under scrutiny and was questioned by Oates to implicate him. Of course, since there was no plot, he could not be implicated in this, and yet he was still taken to the gallows. He was executed on the 22nd of August, 1679, in Worcester. Onlookers, people who knew him in Worcester, mainly Protestants, sympathized with him over the authorities. In fact, the sheriff of Worcester cried out at his execution, "Will this end popery? This is the way to make us all papists." This seems to be the essence of martyrdom, that the promises of God are certain and worth more than the sufferings of this present life. John Wall at his execution prayed, "I beseech God to turn our captivity to joy and that they who sow in tears may reap in joy. That is the psalm we heard today. It's the witness to the fact that there's more than this, that there is something worth fighting for, worth more than our own individual safety. It's a contrast, it seems, to the way Titus Oates lived his life. It's God's promise that the salvation promised to us in Christ goes beyond what we face in this life. And that is something that John Wall still influences us today.